Hi friends, welcome to today's video. Today is going to be such a fun one because I'm doing my first ever 24-hour readathon. I'm going to be reading none other than the iconic, the famous, The Funk of the Air trilogy by Holly Black, starting with The Cruel Prince. This is a young adult fantasy series that has a lot of political elements but also some romance, and I'm just so excited to dive into the series and see what I think about it. For the purpose of today's video, I'm going to be doing a timer method, so I'm going to stop the timer whenever I am not reading. So let's jump right into the video. Hey, sorry to interrupt, but I forgot to mention that this vlog is going to be containing some mild spoilers for the Funk of the Air trilogy. I'm not going to go over every single thing that happens in these books. Just be warned that there's going to be some mild spoilers. Okay, now let's get into the video. It is currently Saturday morning, or rather I would say Saturday afternoon. I really need to start reading. I started my timer last night. Started the first book of the trilogy, The Cruel Prince. As you can see, I decided to tab it. I'm not annotating this book, but there are some moments that I really wanted to mark, so I decided to start tabbing it. I'm currently 98 pages into this book, and so far I am enjoying it so much. You know, I was a little bit nervous going into it because with this very popular TikTok BookTok books, you never know. Sometimes they're overhyped for no reason, and sometimes they're actually worth the hype. And I feel like so far I am having the absolute best time, and I just cannot wait to see where the story goes, and I'm so happy that I decided to pick this trilogy for this challenge. So my plans for the rest of the day are just going to be reading. It is so gloomy. I apologize if the lighting is not the best. It has been so gloomy, which is not great for lighting, but it is great for the reading ambiance. There is nothing I want to do more than to just sit and like read for 12 hours straight. So this is what I'm going to be doing today. So going into the series, I didn't actually know anything about it. I only knew that it is about Faye and that the main love interest has a tail, which is questionable. But now that I am 100 pages in, I know a little bit more about the premise and what is going on. So we are following Jude. She's one of the three sisters, and their parents were brutally murdered by this fairy guy who is a dad of one of the sisters. So one of the three sisters, Phoebe, she's a fae, and then the other two, they are human kids. But this happened 10 years ago, and since then they have been living in this fairy kingdom. And obviously as human girls, Jude and Taryn don't have any powers, and they do feel very inferior to fairies. And Jude is very determined to prove herself and to get her way to the court so that she can get some sort of power and be equal to Faye. So far, as I said, I'm absolutely loving it, and there are a few things that I really didn't expect from this book. One is that, you know how I told you that the only thing that I knew is that the male interest has a tail? Something that I didn't know is that this is how he's literally introduced. I thought it was just something that people like to remind each other on the internet, like, oh, but he has a tail, do you remember? But no, he's actually introduced as like, do you see this guy? Do you know that he has a tail? That was literally his character introduction, which was quite funny. So I just assumed that Carden is the main love interest. He is right now introduced as very much a bully, so we will see how he's going to redeem himself. If he is the love interest, it might not be him, but I assume that should be him. And I'm also really enjoying seeing the free perspective of the three sisters, because each of them obviously has gone through this traumatic event in their childhood, but they process that grief very differently. Jude is the one who is constantly trying to prove to Fairy that she is worth of being there, but realistically she's just trying to prove it to herself. By nature, she's a fighter, but her twin sister has taken very much a position of subordinate to Fairy, and she is okay with the way things are, and she also keeps her own secrets, which I don't really know much about yet, but I imagine we are going to find out a lot more. And then Vivi, their older sister, is unable to move on from everything that happened. She's very much holding a grudge against the world, and also a little bit against her sisters that they have decided to live their life. She constantly goes back to the human world, and she's unable to process what has happened, and she kind of just decides to not live. She's just stuck in the past, and she doesn't understand how her sisters are okay with everything, which obviously her sisters are not okay, and they still have so much grief. But they have decided to make that choice to live and to make something out of their life and accept things for what they are. I also love following Jude's perspective, and I really love how conflicted she is. I feel like it would have been so easy to write her as just full of spite and revenge towards the world. But she actually admits that her stepdad, the fairy who killed her parents, she admits that she loves him even though she also hates him for everything that he's done. I think it is so much harder to write that than to write just pure hate and spite. I am really excited to see where the story is going, so I'm going to keep on reading, but so far I'm having an amazing time. Oh my god, these fairies are so mean. Oh no. Okay, now I'm just confused. Is Carden the love interest or is it Loki? I don't know yet. But also Loki gives me a weird feeling. Like, he's very nice, but I feel like he's a little suspicious. Ooh, it's getting so good. Also, I love there is an owl that calls Jude sweetmeat. I'm sorry, that's so cute. Okay, moving on. I just discovered that this timer is actually magnetic. Look. Wait. That's so fun. I feel like it might fall down. Anyway, I keep on reading and I am getting a little bit sleepy. I think I need a snack. I'm enjoying it so much so far. It is definitely getting very political. I'm really enjoying discovering all of the politics and the drama and the behind the scenes of this world, so I'm having a great time. I am currently 143 pages into it, almost halfway through the book, so making some progress. Okay, welcome back everyone. It is a little bit later now. As you can see, I've done a bit of progress and I have a few things to update you. I am currently I'm not 18 hours. I have 18 hours left. So I am 6-ish, just under 6 hours into this readathon. I am reading pretty slowly, but I don't mind. I know I am a slow reader, so it's not a big deal. I just wanted to talk to you guys. So I am enjoying my read of this quite a lot. It is very interesting. It is very politics heavy and there's so much build up in this book. So I feel like this is very much exposition for the entire series. Definitely the ending of this book is going to be crazy. I can already sense it. For now, we have just been learning more about the politics of this world and the characters. The way this world works is that they have the king, and the king can only appoint one of his sons as his successor and the next king. And this high king has many sons, and one of them is Carden. I still believe that he is going to be the love interest of Jude. Right now, Jude is with Loki. Loki is one of Carden's friends, but Loki is very suspicious. He's very nice to Jude, considering all fairies are terrible to her because all of them hate humans, but he is being very nice and they have a relationship, and I do not trust him a single bit. Prove me wrong, but I feel like he has something very suspicious going on. I am currently on page 230 and I just got to the part where they're about to start the whole celebration of appointing a new king, and Loki found Jude in the crowd and they're dancing together, and he's asking her, tell me, could you love me? And then he asks something like, what would you do for me? And this is where I stopped because I just needed to update the vlog, document this moment to say I do not trust him a single bit. I think he has some evil agenda and I am very nervous to find out what is going on. Besides that, we also have been learning a lot about the world, and right now a very cool plotline is happening because Jude is asked by Dane, who is supposed to be the new king. He asked her to be one of her spies and she's actually welcomed into this little family of spies. So it is nice to see that someone sees her being human as an advantage. Also, I have one complaint about one scene which is so petty, but I I need to talk about it. So at the beginning of this book, there is one scene when all the girls sneak into the human world, and Jude says how they go to the pharmacy to buy some tampons and split between herself and her sisters because whatever fairies use is like not convenient for periods or whatever. That's fine. But then much later, there is a moment where Jude has her hand injured by some circumstances, and she's talking about how much it hurts. Okay, if she's not using any of the magical medicine, why can they not sneak some painkillers from the human world, right? Like, don't you think that would make sense? Like, if you can use tampons from the human world, why can you not just sneak some painkillers, you know? Pop an aspirin or something, girl. I don't know. I just have a little over 100 pages left of this book. I feel like a lot of plot twists are going to start happening now. So far, I am having the best time, and I'm really, really eager to find out what happens, so I'll keep you guys updated. I think as of right now, I'm actually going to take my dog out on a walk, and also I might grab some dinner. If I do that, I might listen to an audiobook while I do this, and obviously I will keep the timer going so that I count the time I listen to the audiobook towards my reading time. I'm not too tired of reading for the day yet, but I do feel like I want to just move around a little bit. I've been sitting the entire day, so I'm going to do that, and I will catch up with you guys in a little bit. Welcome back, everyone. It is now Sunday morning. I am so sorry that I didn't update you last night, but I was so stupid tired that I couldn't talk. I did finish The Cruel Prince and I started The Wicked King. I'm currently on page 100 exactly. So let me give you my thoughts. The Cruel Prince was very entertaining. By the end of it, it gets very political. At some point, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of very confused about everyone's agenda. However, the very last part of it, the very last scene, was very satisfying. It is a plot twist that I did not see coming at all, and it explained a lot of the politics and a lot of the manipulations that were happening throughout the ending of this book. I had a really good time. Also, we did get a little bit of romance. However, something that I know is that this book is very often gets confused for a romantasy. It is not really. It is more like a young adult fantasy book that has romance subplot, and it is definitely that. To be honest, I feel like the romance and the developments on that front were a little bit rushed. However, I am still intrigued to see where this is going to go and how it is fully going to unfold. And then, as I said, I already started The Wicked King. I feel like it is going to get even more twisted than the first book, but we will see. And in general, I really enjoy that this series is very much an exploration of hunger for power and what power can do to people. Also, I surprisingly really like the character of Maddox. Maddox is the stepdad of Jude and her sisters. Well, he's a real dad of Vivi, but stepdad to Jude and Taryn. Like, I wouldn't even call him morally grey. He's an evil character, but that doesn't mean he cannot love his daughters. I love the fact that out of all of the characters, I think he knows better than anyone exactly who he is, and he's so confident in who he is. There is one scene in The Cruel Prince when he does something quite awful, and then Jude comes to him and she asks him, "How do you sleep at night?" And then he replies, "Some are good with pipes or paint, some have skill in love," he says finally. "My talent isn't making war. The only thing that has ever kept me awake was denying it." I really like his character. I feel like he's such a well-written villain. The fact that he's a villain doesn't mean he's not capable of love, which I enjoyed quite a bit. Now I want to go into a few spoilery parts, so you've been warned. One thing I want to say is Jude, especially in the second book, starts to trust people for absolutely no reason, especially Taryn. I don't like Taryn at all. I mean, after what she's done, naturally, I don't think anyone likes Taryn. I don't really understand how Jude trusts her so easily, and I am very suspicious of Taryn's agenda, and obviously, you know, the whole situation with Locke, which, by the way, I started listening to a little bit of the audiobook and I realized that I've been pronouncing his name wrong. It's not Locke, it's Locke. But what did I say about Locke? I did not trust him, and he was not worthy of any trust. When I thought about who is going to be this person that Taryn is going to marry, I did think for a second it could be Locke, especially when in the first book Taryn tells Jude that it is someone that you might like. I was like, oh, the only one that Jude likes is Locke, so it could be him. To be honest, I was thinking, well, what would be his his agenda to be with Jude. I understand now that his agenda was just to manipulate Taran into loyalty to him. Anyway, I am going to continue reading. I still have quite a way to go, and obviously I have almost 2 books left to read, so I'm gonna keep reading and I will catch up with you guys later. Okay, I'm almost done with the second book of the series. I only have about 50-ish pages. Do you want to check my book? I think I only have about 50-ish pages. Yeah, I'm on page 264. I was really enjoying the first half of this book. I was flying through it. It was so fast-paced. I felt like I was reading it so much faster than the first book in the series, and I wasn't sure where the plot is going to go at the beginning, getting into the second book, but I was pretty happy with all of the events. I did think that in the second half, it started to get a little bit slower. Where I stopped on page 265, I feel like we're about to have quite a lot of romance development, so I decided to just pause and update the vlog that I am still very much enjoying it. I have about just over 9 hours left on the timer, but my timer is currently charging. I'm going to finish the last 50 pages of this book. I am sure it is going to be pretty dramatic, and I expect to have quite a few plot twists, which I am looking forward to. Also, the more I look at these covers, the more I appreciate the design, because it is correlating so much with what is happening in the book. Even the designs inside of it, every time you start a chapter, there is a little design, and in this particular book, it has something to do with like water, and I just appreciate this little detail so much. I think it is such a well-designed book. Anyway, I'm going to finish this book. I'm gonna give you my final thoughts, and then we can move on to the last book of the series. Let's go. I don't even know how to start unpacking this. There is a twist after twist after twist. This book is a manipulator, an emotional manipulator, okay? But it was really good. I loved the ending of this book so much. It was insane. And I feel like the third book has to be my favorite, because whatever is going to go down in the third book is gonna have to be absolutely insane, and I'm here for it. I'm ready to read the third book right away. I should have known. I didn't know there would be plot twists. I wasn't expected to be played like that. I trusted people whom I definitely should not have trusted. Hello everyone, it is now the next day. I have started The Queen of Nothing. I don't have too much of an update because I'm only about 50-ish pages into this book. But one thing that I noticed that I didn't really love is that the series is reliant so much on the twin sisters trope. So they've lived in this kingdom for 10 plus years, and everyone in the kingdom knows that they're twin sisters, but no one ever questions it. I just feel like this particular plot point could have been done in a more interesting way, because the idea of them being twin sisters and that being a big part of plot development has already happened multiple times in Cruel Prince and in The Wicked King, so I felt unnecessary to use that same way to progress the plot in this book as well. Besides that, I'm having a good time. Hello everyone, so it may or may not be a day later right now. I really wanted to record last night, but I was so tired after work. I didn't have it in me. I'm so sorry. So I did do a bit of reading. I am currently sitting at 3 hours and 55 minutes left of this challenge. So I'm currently on page 167, so I'm about halfway through the book, and it has definitely picked up a lot. So as I told you at the beginning, I wasn't a huge fan that the fact that they're twin sisters carries out so much of the plot. Also, this book actually starts in the mortal world, which also, I mean, compared to Elfheim, I will always choose the fairyland. But now it is so good, and I am so excited to see what is going to happen. A few of the characters have met, and now they have to work together. I'm loving all of the dynamics and all of the events that are happening in this book, and I'm ready to be sat and just read the entire evening and finish this reading vlog, but also this trilogy tonight. I feel like it's going to be a wild ride, so yeah, let's get into it and let's see what happens next. I just finished The Queen of Nothing and I finished the entire trilogy. I still have 26 minutes left on my timer. However, forgive me, but I'm not going to be reading for this 26 minutes because 3 books was enough for me. I just really want to savor the feeling of having finished these 3 books, and I don't want to read something right away just because I want to fill this time. This trilogy was so good. This was such a great pick for this marathon. I had such a good time, and I'm so glad that not only I was able to finally know what this is about and experience this series, but also I completed the entire series within a span of a few days, which I'm very proud of, and I had a really great time. This was so immersive. I really liked it. I think for me personally, I would say this is a 4-star series. This is really good. It is very entertaining. However, it didn't give me quite the 5-star feeling. It was very close, but there was always something holding me back from feeling like this is going to be a 5-star. To be honest, I feel like The Queen of Nothing, out of all the 3, this one is going to be my least favorite, unfortunately. I enjoyed it in the middle. It was very engaging because there are multiple characters that have to work together, and it was so fun. When it came to the main resolution and the ending, I like how things ended, but they ended kind of very fast and in a very simple way. Up until this point, we had so many plot twists throughout the series, and there was constantly some new information that is being revealed. Obviously, everything has to wrap up by the end, but I just felt like this had really no plot twists at all. Everything was very much straightforward, but I like how it resolved. Specifically, I have to say Vivi and Heather, I loved how their plotline got resolved. It was so cute. I think it was my favorite out of all of the ending that we got to see. I had such a great time reading this series. If you want to hear my ranking of all of the individual books, so the last place is going to be The Queen of Nothing, the 3rd book. The 2nd place is going to be The Cruel Prince, the 1st book. I enjoyed it a lot. There was a lot, obviously, of like world building and trying to understand what is happening, introduction to the political system of this world, which makes sense. I mean, you have to do it in the 1st book. You need to establish what is going on. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I really loved the beginning of this book. It was so engaging, and I really had a great time reading this one. And then my favorite is going to be book 2, The Wicked King. There was only one small part in this book that I felt like dragged a tiny bit. That was the kidnapping scene. If you know about the plot of this book, I don't want to go into too many spoilers. Besides that, I really loved it. The ending surprised me so much. I loved how the romance was developing in this book, but didn't fully develop yet. And yeah, I think this is going to be my favorite, and this in my box is going to be the highest rated out of the entire trilogy. But I had an amazing time. This is such a fun, immersive YA fantasy series. I really loved how rich this fantasy world is. There are so many descriptions and visuals, and you really get to deep dive into this beautiful, weird, cruel fairy world. Also, there was so much character development, and I really enjoyed the storyline of many of the characters, and even the characters that are villains. I really enjoyed reading their storylines and kind of seeing how they're portrayed. It reads very much YA. There is quite a few of the typical YA fantasy cliches. However, I felt that they were for the most part done really well, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing as long as those elements are utilized in a fun way. Why not? What a series to pick up for this readathon. I really felt like it was like the purest form of escapism, and I just had so much fun. Thank you guys so much for coming along with me on this journey. I really appreciate you being here. I hope you enjoyed. Please let me know in the comments if you've read this series, and if you have, what are your thoughts on it, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!